So, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, can I meet the man of the hour?
How are we doing? Peace, we're brother.
And I want to say for the camera.
Can I meet the best man dressed in Speaker's Corner today?
And never have you met a man so handsome than Bob.
No,
he saw my handsomeness in
Look
my
at
house.
this man. Look at this man. Like, he's absolutely. You're looking gorgeous, mate. I'm loving the tie. It's Elroy. What's your name? Orlando. Sorry, I knew it began with an O. Well done for all your work today.
Well done.
God bless you. And as you've seen, guys, we got these Islamists intimidated. I only needed to stand next to Mansur, and he wet his pants and wanted to move away, right? And I just want to say, guys, that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Lamin. So, guys, if you're upset by my conduct, go speak to Lamin, because Lamin was the one that started it, and hopefully you'll see that in the sequence of videos. Yeah. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, does anyone got a question before I move on to my next topic?
The question is why I was late. Okay.
Go on.
Due to the 5 derogatory laws.
Yes. In Acts. In Acts. Acts 15. Yeah.
Why does many people, including Muslims and Christians, like the debate you had last week, why do they always focus on the swine itself?
Yeah.
Why not the other? And because there's also camel there as well.
Yes.
And yet Muslims don't realise that.
Yeah.
I mean, camel is there in the 5
when Muslims make this argument, that, you know, Jesus was like a Muslim because he doesn't eat pork, they always forget that in the same Levitical food laws, eating camel is forbidden. And Muhammad ate camel. So Jesus is not like a Muslim. But the thing that they miss is the fact that Jesus said that it is not what goes into a man that makes a man unclean, but what comes out of him. Because what you eat just passes through you, ladies and gentlemen. And that means the reality is, as the Holy Spirit guided the commentary of the gospel writer, that Christ had declared all foods clean. Because in the Jewish mindset, if you touch something that was unclean, you became unclean. If you touched a clean thing in a state of uncleanliness, the clean thing became unclean. And so Jesus is saying nothing you eat can make you unclean, and so that's why he's declaring all foods clean. And yes, you can still choose not to eat pork and be a Christian. You can still choose to keep all the Levitical dietary laws and still be a Christian, because it's not what you eat that makes you a Christian. And so if you're a Christian who just, for whatever other reason, decides to keep the dietary laws of Leviticus, because you maybe think it's healthy and good for you, fine. The difference between such a person and a Judaizer is that a Judaizer says that if you don't keep the Levitical food laws, you can't be saved. And that's the difference between this modern era and the Judaizing heresy that Paul opposed in Galatians. Any other questions? Do you want to jump in, bro? Come in. Yeah, come in and talk. Come in and talk. Come in and talk. Right, well, let someone else ask a question then. Any other questions?
Arabs, they live in, they're eating alligator as well in the Sahara. Would you call them rizzo?
Lizards.
The big one.
Yeah.
Is it halal?
I have no idea if alligator is halal. But what I do know is that there is a hadith that says you have to kill the gecko. The gecko lizard. Like, now, what the hell does Allah have against geckos? They needs to kill them, right? It's like, Allah is, yeah, exactly. We should have little signs saying geckos' lives matters. Maybe someone can design a little pin badge that people can put on their clothes saying geckos' lives matter, just as a protest against the silly fetishizations of Sharia law. because that's what it is. It is a collection of neurotic fetishizations. That's what Sharia law is. It's silly, it's ridiculous. God has more important things on his mind than the way you put your shoes on in the morning, or the way you put your trousers on in the morning, or how you hold your member when you're going to the toilet. Right? God's got bigger things to deal with than that. And he wants better of us than to follow such silly rules. Any other questions?
What's your opinion on Islam essentially being a reactionary to Christian dominance?
I think that Islam was definitely to some degree a reaction to the fact that when the Arabs conquered a large empire in the Middle East, that most of their new subjects were Christians. And the Muslim empire was intimidated by this fact, and so a lot of what became Islam after Muhammad was cast in an anti-Christian way, in much the same way that Rabbinic Judaism was cast in an anti-Christian way because of the dominance and popularity of Christianity. But the difference is, over many centuries, Sharia law eroded the Christian churches. And we Christians have only found one successful solution to that erosion, and that is to remove Islam from power. When Islam is not in power, it can't erode the church. And that's why the Benedict option works at eroding the church, because even though Muslims in Western pockets, like where's that place in America? I forget. Or, well, like East London and Birmingham, even though they're not in power nationally, they have taken control locally, and they erode weak churches. And so I appeal again for Christians to stand in unity with one another. I appeal again to Christians to work with one another. And I want to raise in the minds of Christians that the way to defeat Islam is to remove it from power, remove it from authority, remove it from influence, and then do your evangelism.